All right, I think we are live. Hello, Deidre, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am, I feel like I'm a little on the busy side in terms of interviews and all those sorts of things. I have like a one-armed wallpaper hanger in the wind, perhaps on a rickety ladder. But I am thrilled to be here with you today. So before we dive into our show, let me do our little preamble so everyone knows what the heck is going on. First and foremost, I am Jay Fazette. I am the founder of JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit, which is a joint venture community that helps entrepreneurs redesign their businesses so that they have a steady stream of perfectly qualified leads at the front end, recurring passive income at the back end, in doing one thing and one thing only, serving our clients better and solving more of their problems. And we do that in lots of different ways. We have an event called JVology Live, which I'll put a link in the little chat window. You guys go elsewhere, please. Sorry. We have a huge house and 2 feet away, we've got a little visit happening. It's like, go. This is you going. That's you going.
This is
the craziness at Jay's house. So we do it through our live events, JVology Live. We do it through summits. Deidre and I just got to hang out in Kananaskis just a couple weeks ago, which was freaking awesome. And I loved the ceremonies that you led with me and my dear wife and team and all that stuff. That was awesome. And we do things like these interviews, which shares the brilliant people in our community with others in the community and the world, which I'm very, very blessed and thrilled about. So there's something else I got to tell them, which is this. We share these things all over Facebook and all the rest of it. And if you're watching this, come to the broadcast page. And what you got to do is press the J Fazette just above the little window, above the little video frame, and it'll take you over to the broadcast page. And then you can chat with us. You can say hello to us. We can answer questions for you and all of those pieces. And then the last piece is, I want to play, we've got a little intro and a little commercial, and then Deidre is going to fill us in on the amazing stuff she's got coming up. All right, we'll be right back after this. All right, we are back with the brilliant Deidre. Okay, so tell the world, the 5,000-foot view, who you are, what you do, how you serve, all your amazingness.
Amazing. Well, thanks for having me. So the work that I do is I support impact-driven entrepreneurs. And so leaders, facilitators, teachers, trainers who are here to make their mark in the world and make a bigger impact. And what I help them do is I help them heal the past. So trauma and anything that keeps reoccurring in the now that is from the past that's holding them back. I help them integrate change, activate their highest gifts, because we all are like a Christmas tree. We have light bulbs all around us, but the truth is most of us only have a few of those light bulbs on. So we haven't fully activated all of the gifts that we have to really show up powerfully. And then I help people make the biggest impact in the world by really extending their energetics and getting their message out there.
I like the metaphor of the light bulbs, and depending upon where in the chain the light bulb goes out, it can be pretty damn dim.
Yeah, right. Well, if you think about it, like most people are like, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at this. There's like 3 to 5 things, right? Mm-hmm. But we can literally go from a broken down old car to, a Maserati or a Lamborghini and really show up powerfully and just use all of our gifts to really move forward with ease and grace. And so, yeah, I love the Christmas tree piece because I'm like, yeah, we're like a Christmas tree, but most of our lights are normally out. So I help them turn them on.
Awesome. So I'm curious about, about 12 million things, but tell me first and foremost about like, how did you get started in this? Like what brought the desire?
The desire. So yeah. I grew up in a family where I, from the outside looking in, it looked like everything was perfect. Everything was going well. But the truth was internally I was struggling. I didn't have the space or the support to really be who I was. So I grew up living this dual life of people pleasing and being friends with everyone, but being really disconnected from myself. And this continued into my adulthood. I experienced different traumas. And I got really good at numbing my true identity and pushing it down. And at the same time, as I was pushing all of this down and really good at playing multiple roles of whoever I needed to be, depending on whoever I was in front of, my gifts started to come at me really quickly, where I was experiencing different things with the universe. And I was starting to get messages and voices. It sounds like maybe I should, be locked up, but really I was receiving all these gifts and I didn't know what to do with them. So I quieted them down. And it wasn't until I really healed my trauma and went back to the root of the ways that I was showing up, that I was able to really step into my authentic self, step into who I really am and own my gifts. And that was a journey of studying with shamans for over a decade. That was a journey of going to all the seminars, of getting as much self-help or shelf-help as I could. But no matter what I did, I kept feeling like a lot of these programs I was enrolling myself in, as well as studying with shamans and different healers, is that they were boxing me in, and I never really felt like I could truly be who I was. So it led me down the road of developing something for people where it's about waking up to who you are and who you're meant to be in the world, without giving you, this is how you need to show up in order to do it properly. Because we're so beyond that as far as evolving as humans, that we all have our unique gifts, our unique, backgrounds. And I really realized that the root cause of all suffering in the world comes down to unhealed trauma. So a huge part of the work I do is on unhealed trauma and imprints, which is essentially the same thing. An imprint can be a positive thing, but can cause you to take acts of self-betrayal, or can cause you to not pay attention to aspects of your life and be really successful in business, but you may have a difficult time in your relationships and may not feel the way that you want to feel. So any symptom that is not desirable in your life, that you are reoccurring to have over and over and over again, comes down to unhealed trauma. And it wasn't until I healed my trauma that I was able to see that it was like an accordion stretch of all of the moments in time in my life where I was betraying myself, or I was saying yes when I wanted to say no, because I wasn't in my body. So the trauma work is super important to me. And yeah, I just finally surrendered to my gifts, and I can see it within other people. And as soon as we move through that, we integrate change, we activate people on a cellular level, and it's just, we're unstoppable. So that's a little bit about my journey, but we could be talking for hours here over wine. So nice short with a little bow on top. But I went through, like, even in your program, the 12 pillars, like we talk about the empowerment stage. Like I was very empowered for a long time, right? And I thought I was healed. I was like, I'm so beyond the trauma, and I remember being at Landmark, and at Landmark, you have to call people, right? The intro. And I remember having to call someone that I was involved in the trauma with. And I was like, I am so over it. But the truth was I wasn't over it, because I kept recreating situations in my life. So if we have unhealed trauma, we may have addictions, we may have behaviors we don't love, we may be attracting toxic relationships, not making the kind of money that we want, not making the kind of impact, not expressing ourselves, not being the fullest essence of who we are. And it wasn't until I healed it at the root that I was like, this is like the foundational piece of everything, because nothing can truly be built until we've woken up to our truth, which comes from healing our trauma.
Well, let's talk about that for a brief moment, because and not that I want to go down the path of spiritual bypass and all the rest of it, but there is I think a really powerful, simple measure of, is something healed? Have we learned a lesson? I'll use from my book, have I actually become personally accountable for my participation and co-creation and all of those pieces? Right. And it is this simple truth that the results change. It is not the same in our life. They don't show up in a different body. Like, that's the measure. And if they are still showing up in a different body, or if I'm still having the same internal experience to a similar stimulus, it ain't done. It ain't healed. It ain't over. Like the measure is unbelievably simple, regardless of, and this is the thing I sometimes poke people about. It's like, I don't care how much work you think you've done. If you're still being a dingbat on this topic, it ain't over. Oh, yes, but I did 72 courses and I meditated.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. But the measure tells me, and should tell you, it ain't done yet.
And the work doesn't really ever stop in life. Like, we're constantly moving to new levels, and at the new levels of our vibration and experience, we have other things that are coming our way. And with that being said, oh, I've done so much work. It's an excuse sometimes for not doing the work that needs to be done to fix the problem. And it's funny, many people who come to me or come to my events, they're like, I had a lot of anxiety right before showing up to your event or working with you, because it's like, we can just dissolve the problem quickly, and you don't have to live with it, but we can get addicted to our story, to our pain. And one of the biggest ways that I find it pops up for people, if we're like making it very measurable, is the relationships that we attract. So if we're attracting, really toxic relationships, we attract what we think we are or what we are. So we either attract what we think our worth is or our vibrational match. And so relationships that we attract, so conflict there around money, if you're not moving forward and you're finding that you're always in that scarcity mindset and you're not moving forward regardless of what you're doing, like, those are all very clear signs that there's unhealed trauma in that department. And there was this woman that I worked with, and she had spent close to $30,000 working on healing her challenges around receiving money. And she's an amazing coach in the States who does really great work. And after one session of doing work with trauma, like trauma work, which she wasn't expecting around money, the problem was gone. And she's like, one session, $30,000, it's gone. And it's because it's not a mind thing. We can work on the mind. We can do affirmations. We can do all of these things. But if we haven't gone to the root, it's going to continue to come up as weeds. It's like mowing the lawn every week, and the weeds are coming up again. It's like, cool. Well,
right.
Pull the weeds out. You got to go to the root, right?
Yes. That's awesome. Okay, so talk to us about, you have a masterclass coming up that is aimed at doing the core work. And it's tomorrow already. Yes.
It's tomorrow.
Okay, so tell us all about it.
Tomorrow.
Yes. Well, you tell us all about it, and I'm going to continue to stalk our mutual friend for a link so that we can actually. Yeah. And by the way, and if we don't have, if he doesn't respond, just give me the regular link is all copacetic and fine as well. I just want to make sure that we can get traffic and eyeballs and people who are interested in this to your magic hands.
Masterclass. All right. So the masterclass is tomorrow. There's 2 times. So there's a 10 a.m. and a 6 p.m. Pacific, so not Mountain Time. And it's a 75-minute class with me. And essentially what I'm going to be covering is, over the past decade of working with people in different containers and capacities, I've seen there's 5 main areas that are being bypassed. I've experienced it from working in the space of spirituality, personal development. And when I work with people one-on-one or in a group space, these are the 5 areas that people have been bypassing without even knowing it. And if you're bypassing one of the 5, it's going to be blocking you from making the kind of impact that you're here to make. And it's so clear that whatever's going on in your business or your impact and your reach is directly related to personal. You can have all the strategy, you can be in JVology, you can have all the funnels, but if you aren't radically aligned with who you are and have really dialed in, you may be bypassing some areas and sabotaging your success. And the truth is, the higher levels that we go into spaces of personal development and knowing ourselves, the sneakier it is that we can bypass our own development, and we can self-sabotage as well as sidestep from really taking a step forward. So this masterclass is designed to teach you the 5 areas that I've seen time and time again of working with people in all different stages of life and business that are blocking them from really making a bigger impact. So maybe you're already making an impact and you're pretty like, I'm doing really well. It's really about how can you reach that next level? Or are you at a place in your life or business where you're like, I know there's another level for me, or I can see myself where I'm supposed to be, but there's this gap and I'm not sure how to close it. This masterclass will support you. And let me tell you, just from coming to this masterclass, if you implement these 5 things and really work on them, it will transform your life and your business and really help you make a bigger impact in the world, which is something I get really fired up about. We're talking about trauma, and like, yes, trauma is an important thing to deal with, and we were talking about that, Jay, but I'm more important about where you're going, not about where you've been. It's like, well, what are you here to create in the world? And so it's about removing the things that are in the way so that you can just be who you are and do that with ease, rather than being in a space of how come I'm not there yet? Because there is an accelerated path to really living in your impact.
Hey, look what I got.
Ooh, you've got the core.
Took me a little bit, but I found it.
Very nice.
Perfect. So actually, wait a second. Is this the right one?
That's my course, which begins next week, the Turn Your Light On program.
Okay, so I'll put that away until we're done this. I was so happy. I thought I had it.
Hey, Jay, I just want to join the hot mess club because you're a bit of a hot mess, but I was like secretly trying to put my earring back on because it fell off on your commercial break. You know what? It's just a part of entrepreneurship. What I'll do is I'll pull it up. I'll see if I can pull it up right now. And
just put the link in. Just please put the link in the chat there directly. That is all good.
Jay, you know what? The funny thing about you is, and I think that we have common ground here, is my mom, like if you know my mom, if anyone knows my mom, she's hilarious. She's the funniest person you'll ever meet, but not on purpose. She cracks she cracks jokes, she does all the things, but usually like you start laughing at her because she's so not funny, but she thinks she's so funny. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple videos of myself speaking at events or whatever that I've rewatched, and I literally thought everyone was laughing at my joke. I was like, so I started laughing too, that they were laughing at me and how I reacted to my joke. So you are kind of in that same space of just you being in the here and now, Jay, is very entertaining. So thank you.
Well, here's the truth of the matter is that the way I am and the way my life is, if I couldn't laugh at myself, things would not be good.
Yeah, right. Gotta have a sense of humor. Okay, so I almost have the link here. I'm just scrolling one more up.
Cherie, Sarah, I'm putting this up. Funny hashtag, not on purpose.
Yeah, not on purpose. This is just the way I am.
Well, and let's be clear about this in terms of the 2 pieces. The masterclass that you're going to teach tomorrow, in terms of this whole foundation and grounding, which we all need. And here's one of the things I actually really respect and admire about you is that. So I grew up in what I would call let's call it a woo-woo spiritual, sort of unusual home. I don't know how I'll say that. there are other words after a couple of glasses of wine that are different, but I grew up in that, and I find myself sometimes skeptical and judgmental about the realm, and I want to be very clear about it. It's not because I don't believe, because you know damn well I believe. It's that there are. How do I put this? Is that there are people who are in the spiritual domain that are so spiritually minded that they're not earthly good. It's difficult to. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's that spiritual bypass gone awry.
Oh my.
But one of the things I really respect and admire and love about you is that you have a very solid contextual frame that makes sense, that lines up, that is practical, that is tactical, and you tap into what I'm going to call the otherworldly and spiritual aspects, which is a part of our human experience that is sometimes difficult to access, or we don't understand it when it occurs, or we get scared off by it because it doesn't necessarily fit in a particular line. And you balance those 2 things, I think, incredibly well. And I just want to say to any of you who, know that there's something to this whole spiritual domain and that there's more to us than flesh, blood, and bones, but are having difficulty accessing it, Deidre is your person. Like, she will help with the contextual frame to set your, I'm going to say, mind and heart at ease. That opens it up to actually access the rest of your power and capacity and to heal those traumas. So I just really think you do a stunning job of that.
Thank you. So the first link that I sent to you is not right, but the second one in the chat is the right one. just so you know.
Yeah, I'm going to put the first one up.
And so perfect. So funny story. So the first shaman that I ever worked with, so my past business before I got into what I do now, I ran a yoga business. And so taught yoga full time, and we went into corporations and all that. And I just loved like the fitness side of yoga, right? It wasn't the spiritual side. It was like, let's play fun music, you know, do yoga, do core, and that's yoga, right? And at that point in my life, like I wanted to have fun all the time. Like that was it. Like I'm like, if this isn't fun, I'm not doing it. And anyways, so one day my friend invites me to this like gathering, and I think that we're going to do yoga. So I like go to North Vancouver, right? And I have my yoga mat. I'm wearing like my yoga gear, and I show up in this room, and there's a shaman. Her hair is down to her ankles, and we're all sitting in a circle. No one has their yoga mat, and I sit down. It's super quiet, really awkward. And we start going around talking about how we feel in our body, and everyone's crying, and it's like an intense experience because I didn't know what I was there for. And then she comes to me and she's like, how do you feel in your body? And I'm like, I feel good. She's like, no, go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. And so that was a weird experience for me, but I kept working with her for a year. And one of my things is I really want to support people to actually ground this into reality, because it can get really weird when you end up in a room full of people you don't know and everyone's crying. And you're like, I feel my sitting bones on my chair. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anyways, talking about practical and all that, but here we go. We got the lake.
Hallelujah. I think a little choir of angels just whispered in my ear. Yes. It's all good. So let's just talk about, as well as, I love the name of this, the accelerated path, because I think that we've all seen that scribble of, you know, what people think success looks like, you know, here, and there's the straight line to success, and then there's the the curly Q, you know, what it really looks like.
Yeah.
But when things are aligned, it is 1,000, and I'm not saying it's becomes a direct line, but it is 1,000 times less energy spent spinning. So just talk to us a little bit about that, if you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like when we're holding on to certain pieces that aren't real, when we haven't really done our I don't want to say inner work, because we're all doing work all the time. So one of the pieces that I do when I work with people is I help them take the knowledge in their mind, and I help them go into full embodiment of it. So instead of thinking about how you want to feel or wanting to be a certain way, you just show up that way. So one of the lines I've heard many times from my clients is, you took me from wanting to be the leader that I've always wanted to be to being the leader that I've always wanted to be. Like all of a sudden people see me as that, and I just am operating that way. So it's about less knowledge, more embodiment, and that comes from really being in your body. And you know, there's different stages of turning your light on. We talked a little bit about this before in a past JVology live. And, you know, many entrepreneurs, many people right now are in a dance. They're in expansion, contraction. So sometimes they show up really powerfully in their life and business and their mission, and sometimes they don't. And it's because of these triggers in our subconscious mind are pulling us back into things from the past, which could be traumas, imprints, things that we haven't fully resolved. And because of that, we take ourselves out of the game. We say yes rather than saying no. We overcommit to things. We hold back. We don't speak up. We don't put that course out there. We don't believe in what we are getting as those intuitive nudges that are telling us to create a program or to go and do something. And what happens in this space of expansion, contraction, showing up powerfully sometimes, and then contracting and going into fear, anxiety, and withdrawal, is that we lose self-trust. And when we continue to lose self-trust, it's very difficult for us to trust ourselves and to show up powerfully. So we start to look around us, and we may not even be aware of this, and we look for other people's approval of what we should be doing. So no matter what level of business you're in, you may be influenced by people outside of you and putting energy and time in things that are actually leaking your energy, leaking your resources, rather than the thing that is really powerful and important for you of moving forward. So the accelerated path essentially is aligning yourself with who you are, not compromising, but that full integration of self without being like caught, you know, pulled in multiple directions. If you're an empath and you feel other people's emotions, it's like, you know what's going on with other people, but you feel yourself, you know your path, and nothing's taking you off path. That is the accelerated path.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Cool. Well, here's the thing. We're heading towards the end of the conversation. What if somebody's sitting here going like, I wonder if I should do the masterclass? And the answer is you should. But what would you say to somebody who's still a little bit, I'm not 100%, I'm not 100% sure?
Well, I guess the question is, are you satisfied with the kind of impact that you're making in the world? Do you feel fulfilled every day at the end of the day, like you are fully 100% on track with where you want to be? If the answer is no, you know there's another level to it, and you want to take the path of least resistance. And I said that on purpose because some people think that's the path not doing anything. It's the path of flow. If you want to be in a space of flow, if you want to make a bigger impact in the world, then come join. If you don't, if you're like, I'm exactly where I want to be and there's nothing you want to change, you don't want to make the path easier, then don't come to the masterclass. But if you're someone that wants more, and you know you have a lot of people to serve, and let's be honest, with where the world's at today, we need more of us, more than ever before, to be radically aligned with our message and to stop, messing around with things that aren't it. So if that's you, this is going to be awesome, and I'd love to have you come to the masterclass.
Love that.
Krista, thank you, Krista. Good to see you on here.
And by the way, I got a message saying that that session was incredibly powerful, and that I've got to book mine with yours in terms of the invitation from the summit. So we'll figure that out, because I would absolutely love to do that.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Cool. So here's the last thing. I'm going to say it in slightly different words, which is this: much of our world is in the thick of thin things. Meaning doing an awful lot of action and an awful lot of behaviors that, because they're not aligned, don't move us very far. Yeah. So very busy, not important. And what I know will transpire, the ceremony that you did at the summit, was just really quite beautiful. And frankly, I would say that ceremony was after that was perhaps the most peaceful I had felt in probably 7 months, maybe 8 months. Like, it was really a beautiful experience. Mm-hmm. And it is that alignment and that space of purposeful action, where instead of being in the thick of thin things, we just simply direct our energy at what is the most important, and we get that shit done. And we can do it with joy, we can do it with love, we can do it with passion. And if you're curious about any of those things, click the button over on the side. It's the last one, because there's a couple of other ones. It's the last button. Click that button and get to the webinar. The one right there.
Sure.
All right, Deidre, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for for putting up with my craziness and my teenager interrupting.
All
right. Take care. Bye-bye.